will pay on average around 15% more for electricity from today when new tariff hikes come into effect. They will also pay more for water, property rates and refuse removal. Member of the Mayoral Committee for Finance in the City of Johannesburg, Funzela Ngobeni, says the National Energy Regulator, NERSA's decision to grant Eskom a more than 41% tariff increase has forced the city to hike its tariffs. He says the city's electricity tariff will increase from the originally proposed 12.20% to 13.07% across all categories of customers. Customers will pay 9.9% more for water. Property rates and refuse removal tariffs will increase by 5.5% and 7% respectively. The Financial and Fiscal Commission has expressed serious concerns about the state of the country's municipal finances, tabling its report in Parliament on the division of revenue for 2020-2021 financial year. The Commission has called for the tightening up of the credit control system between Eskom and municipalities. It's also recommended that the establishment of a memorandum of understanding between the power utility and municipalities, and wants this to be overseen by the Ministers of Finance and Cooperative Government and Traditional Affairs.
There are serious problems between municipalities in terms of considering capabilities. The financial systems are not adequately geared towards giving early warning signs when there's going to be irregular behavior or where there's going to be fraud and corruption committed. But there's also an issue of capabilities. Technical in terms of the systems are not capable to respond adequately to matters in terms of what needs to be done in terms of communities. And then we have a skill shortage.
Kickstarting one's career in the fourth industrial revolution may not be as easy as young people may expect. Before one can get that well-paying job is perhaps not as maybe a manager or a CEO without starting with an entry-level position. And young people often want to shoot to the top without considering the options of starting at the bottom. One industry that can help them to start from the bottom and to work their way up is the facilities management industry, which is often overlooked. And to tell us about the importance of starting small and on your way to the top is Xolile Sizani, who is CEO of Servest. So thank you very much for coming to our program.
Thank you, sir.
All right, when we talk about facilities management for people who want to consider starting a job at entry level, what do we mean by that?
Yeah, from a definition point of view, facilities management is a profession. The essence of this profession is to integrate technology, processes and systems within a built environment so that you can therefore be able to create a comfortable environment, a safe environment, an environment that allows employees to be productive because the culture and the environment that they are functioning in is clean, is safe, is comfortable. So that's the essence of that. And if you look at part of a multiple of services that one provides in that space, it could be security, it could be cleaning, it could be catering, it could be landscape and turf, where you actually tender the gardens and landscape. F&B, for example, is one of those. So Servest does a lot of that work as part of creating an environment that is a comfortable environment, that is safe, and is creating a productivity within the organizational spaces.
Mm-hmm. Why is it that the perception of starting as a waiter or a petrol attendant or a secretary or maybe just doing a job that is often overlooked by people as a profession, why is it that young people tend to really ignore that and want to just put on a tie and a suit and just walk into an office?
Yeah. I think there's a tendency, and again it's a natural phenomenon, that people want and have aspirations to get somewhere. It's almost a promised land. Everyone wants to be at that level. However, part of the journey to get to any level, whether you become a CEO or a manager, you have to start somewhere. And I think part of the challenge is that many of the people, particularly the youth, they have a tendency to look down upon certain jobs. I have, for example, one of my colleagues who is currently an executive director, actually started with a degree, tendering and providing services at a McDonald's, doing burgers. But that was not where she wanted to end up. It was a starting place, but where she wanted to be was even far further than that. And I think part of the narrative that we want to create for our youth is an understanding that it matters not where you start. What matters is where you end. And part of us, and the journey that many of us follow, is not a straightforward journey. We have to start somewhere. And depending on the opportunities that you have, you might have to start at one level. In the facilities management space, there's plenty of opportunities where we can actually provide a youth with employment opportunities, whether it's cleaning, whether it's security, whether it's technical service. But that does not necessarily mean it's the end of the world. Mm-hmm. They can use that as a stepping stone to actually build their career. So facilities management and Servest in particular allow an opportunity for youth to actually play in those spaces. And government has been very supportive because there are tax incentives that actually encourage us to recruit and to bring more youth. And therefore, the youth needs to then be able to step up as well and take those opportunities and make sure that they work very hard as a starting platform for them to grow their careers.
Isn't it a question of peer pressure that influences, for example, unemployed graduates to see somebody with an honors degree being a cashier at a supermarket and think that, what will the people say if I'm earning only a minimum wage, whereas I studied to be a professional and here I am, look at me.
Yeah. No, it's natural. As I said, I mean, we come from communities where education is the most important differentiator. And so when I therefore have a qualification from university, there's an expectation, not just from my family, but an expectation from my community that I should be taking up positions that are commensurate with the qualification that I've received. So there's definitely that pressure. But I think we must all understand that each one of us have got our own, what I call a scope of work. You know, you have your own assignment. And therefore, it might not necessarily be normal that you will go through your assignment by coming out of university and just getting a job that you studied for. It might be that, which is why the internships and other programs are there to really help the youth to get exposure and opportunities to start something. I mean, you're better off doing a cleaning services, doing working as a hygienist than staying at home. You know, some of the opportunities that people do not necessarily see is, for example, within Servest, what would happen is that you might be working in an office environment as a cleaner. But in that office environment, because people in the office environment, you know, get to see, for example, job adverts that are coming up, wherein, depending on your character and how committed you are, they might pass to you job opportunities that you actually are qualified for. So I think the youth needs to appreciate that the journey for us, or for them, to actually move and to create and grow their careers.
But isn't it a problem that they are frowning upon these kind of opportunities because they are saying the kind of education that I have must be tailor-made and crafted to go in line with what I have studied for. So I'm studying for this and I want to work for that.
That's why I'm saying that the opportunities to actually do what you studied for might be limited. So what is the choice that you have? Do you stay at home or take whatever opportunities that then comes before you and use that opportunity to step change your own future, to step change your career, and to really allow yourself greater opportunities? Because you are better off in a commercial or a work environment doing whatever job that is there as opposed to sitting at home. So I think the narrative that the youth needs to appreciate is a narrative that says, we didn't get to where we are as managers, as leaders, you know, all of us in one go. Some of us had to detour. I mean, there's a case of a petrol attendant who continues to be a petrol attendant but continues to finish their studies and now has got the better opportunities to actually change their careers. So I reckon that the youth needs to appreciate that the challenges that they face today are quite daunting challenges, and there has to be sacrifice. And if you look across the history of youth development, there's always been that sacrifice that needs to be made. And there's nothing that's going to change in one's life if there are no sacrifices that one makes. And I think facilities management and Servest in particular allows organizations, or the youth in particular, to actually have those opportunities to grow their careers.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you very much for making time to speak to us, because, I mean, one doesn't have to really, you know, despise the humble beginnings. Yeah. So it's not about where you start, but it's where you're going to end.
Correct.
Right.
Thank you.
Well, Mr. Xolile Sizani is the CEO of Servest, and talking to us about where young people can start. Starting small can help you to end up bigger in wherever you want to go. And of course, we've got to take a break. When we return, the program continues right here on SABC News.